For July, we asked our board members to submit a picture or a few pictures of what makes their sewing space special and why. Here are those pictures, along with a brief description that give us a sneak peek into their sewing spaces. Enjoy! Up first are pictures from Wendy Sternberg, our president. Here's what she has to say. My sewing room was once my now 40-year-old son's bedroom. He asked if his friend could paint some wolves, and I of course said, okay. She is an amazing artist, and we have more than just a couple of wolves. I love them for my sewing space. The woven squares on the back of my chair were a doll blanket my Nana made for me when I was a little girl. And here's a close-up of more of the painting that was done in my son's former bedroom, now my sewing room. These wolves originally had a very menacing looking dragon looming over them. I had to paint over it. It was too scary for me. This small bulletin board is stuffed with treasures. A 3D picture from Thailand, my only all hand stitched quilt, a fabric painting by EPB that I embroidered and quilted, my ribbon from a Sandy quilt show back in the day, my no doll to remind myself of Cam Say No. I'm not sure I said that right. A memory of my dog Sam that we lost last year, a quilt of Puerto Vallarta where we did a family vacation every spring break when our children were with us, and on the underlayer, too many things to go on about. This is my cutting station. I had my husband build an open shelf to get it up to cutting level and give me more space for rulers, threads, and all things needed by a quilter. Underneath, I have plastic drawers for leftovers that I cut into strips and squares of standard sizes, and have a drawer for orphan blocks and leftover binding that I am now using for face masks. At the top of my design wall, I have a guild challenge, a gift from my friend Kathy who got me into quilting when I retired, a kangaroo from an Aboriginal print, and a pattern I had bought when I was in Australia, a rabbit from Helene's class, and dolls. 3 finished and 2 just started from a Dolls Around the World project I was going to do many years ago when I was obsessed with cloth dolls. There was also a house block waiting for a quilt with Heidi long-arming it. And finally, a wall of things that I've made or collected. I have a huge mermaid collection, and I added a needlepoint project to it. A colored pencil drawing I did of a street in Puerto Vallarta, a beading project of a wild woman, and a lion and dragon I made. This dragon doesn't frighten me. Thank you, Wendy, for sharing. Up next is from Lori Oates. My friend Deanie gifted me with 2 large thread holders for my wall. I happily accepted because I was tired of rifling through a drawer or a bin to look for a specific color, and I am always looking for space-saving ideas. However, I told her that I should only take one and she should keep the other because I would never even be able to fill one up. But luckily she didn't agree, because as you can see, this one is almost filled already, and this one is only cotton thread. I love this thread holder because it saves space by getting thread out of the drawers, and they are at an angle where I can easily see the colors and pick up what I need. From Barbara Belgrave come the next 4 pictures. A friend sold me her toy sewing machine. I'd love to have more. I found an old Singer iron. I didn't even know Singer made irons. I have my great-grandmother's wooden spools and a cute sewing box. Here are my grandmother's pincushion and needles and other miscellaneous sewing things. Here's another old iron and the cover of my mom's sewing book. Can you tell I love old stuff? And from Deline, This pattern sign came from the only store in town that sold fabric when I was a kid. My mom got it when they shut down, and it was in her sewing room for years. The little string dispenser came from my grandmother. From Linda G.S. Here is my picture from my sewing room. My favorite ballet dancer. He has retired, so now I can only gaze at my poster of him. This is from Stacy, and she says, "This is my little Wonder Woman collection that lives on a shelf in my sewing room. I find them encouraging when it's time for the seam ripper." And last but not least, from Dottie Miller, this is her sewing space, including her ever present pupper, Ruby. She can sit and quilt here all day long. Thank you, board members, for sharing your sewing spaces with us. We would love to see what makes your sewing room special. To submit your own pictures and a brief description, email them to becky.caputo@gmail.com and I will put together another video for one of our future meetings. Can't wait to see what you send me.